So, our last topic before your prelim exam is all about tissues. Okay, so ito yung sinabi kong utang ko sa inyo because I was not feeling well. Well, actually, until now, I'm not yet feeling well. So let's try to finish this lecture video and watch it during your own free time, okay? Or just watch it anytime before your prelims, okay? So for this chapter 4, tissues. So when we say tissues, it's a group of cells with similar structure and function, diba? So just like in tissues, if a tissue will now have its own or do a particular function with one another, they will form an organ, diba? That's the basic organization of life, diba? So group of cells, similar structure and function, they will form a tissue. Then what striking feature they have is that all tissues has what we call your extracellular substance or the supporting network or the supporting substance that is seen on your tissues extracellularly. And then for the study of tissues, it's what we term as histology. Okay, it's not tissology, but it's histology. Histo meaning tissues, ology means the study of. Okay. So in the human body, there are four types of tissues. So you have your epithelial, connective muscle, and your nervous tissue. Okay. So when you say epithelial, it's just a covering or lining tissue. Okay. So it's found usually sa mga areas wherein mechanical abrasion is usually is encountered, guys, sa skin, in the lining of organs. For connective, these are diverse primary tissue type that can that makes up every part of any organ because this is the supporting structure underneath an epithelial tissue. Okay, and then for your muscle, it's a tissue that contracts or shortens and makes movement possible. And then for your nervous tissue, it's the tissue that is responsible for coordination and controlling many body activities due to neurotransmitters and nerve impulses. Okay, so these are our four basic human tissue types in the body. Okay, so for your epithelial tissues, epithelium or epithelial tissue it covers and protects surfaces both outside and inside the body. So included here are your exocrine glands, endocrine glands. So the lining of your glands are also epithelial, made up of epithelial tissue. Okay, so as you can see in the picture, it can be simple cuboidal, simple squamous, simple columnar, or stratified squamous. So we will go to them one by one as we go on. Okay, so for your epithelial tissue characteristics, number one, they are mostly composed of cells. As you can see dito sa pictures natin, predominantly made up of cells lang yan. Okay, yun yung particular characteristic ng ating epithelial tissue. For it also covers body surfaces. It serves as a lining. It has distinct cell surfaces. So later we will also go to the different borders of a particular epithelial cell. It has a cell and matrix connections because, nga, as I've said, every epithelial tissue, it also has its corresponding connective tissue. It's non-vascular or avascular, ibig sabihin, it lacks blood supply. So you might be wondering saan po manggagaling yung nutrients ng cells. So it will come from the underlying connective tissue or the supporting network is in pair with that epithelial tissue. Okay, and the movement of nutrients will be off by diffusion. Okay, from that supporting structure, and then of course since it is made up of cells, it is capable of regeneration. Okay, so mitotic activity in epithelial tissue is relatively quite high. So the characteristics of your epithelium again. So here is a picture of a simple squamous epithelium. So if makikita nyo dito on the picture, para siyang tile. Okay, so this is a surface view surface view of an epithelial tissue coming from the lungs. So as you can see here, para siyang tiles, di ba, na dikit lang to one another. So kapag tinignan mo siya on top, the surface view, that is your free surface or your apical surface. Okay? And then side view naman, makikita mo dyan yung basement membrane, and your basement membrane will serve as your basal surface. Okay? Basal surface. And then in between now your cells, that's your lateral surface. So as you can see, epithelial tissue sa taas, and then sa baba niya is your basement membrane. But underneath the basement membrane, that's your connective tissue already. And doon sa connective tissue ninyo, makakakita kayo ng blood vessel. In this particular, si capillary. Okay? Si capillary. Another one, for the function naman of your epithelial tissue, it protects the underlying structures because covering nga siya. It also acts as a barrier. So sa skin, nagiging barrier siya against dehydration para hindi mag-evaporate ng mabilis yung ating fluids inside the body. It also permits passage of substances, di ba? Like in your lungs, so there's gas exchange. Secretes substances like sa skin din, di ba? Sweat, doon din sa lungs, di ba? Nagsasecrete tayo ng carbon dioxide, as well as the absorption of substances. For the absorption of substances naman, usually saan? Sa glomerulus, actually that's filtration. But basically, that to some extent, doon sa kidneys natin in the nephron, there is somewhat reabsorption na nangyayari. Okay, so lahat ng ito ay function ng yung epithelial tissue. So your epithelial tissues are classified primarily according to the number of cell layers and the shape of superficial cells. Okay, so the cell layers can be simple, stratified, or pseudostratified. And kapag sinabi mong simple, one layer, stratified, multiple layers, and kapag pseudostratified, single layer lang yan, but it looks like stratified because of the varying locations of your nucleus, but in reality, isang layer lang talaga yan. So, and the cell shapes can be squamous, cuboidal, columnar, or a special transitional shape that will now vary with the degree of stretch, like your transitional epithelium or your urothelium. Okay, so let's go to them one by one. Simple squamous or simple epithelium, single layer. It extends from the basement membrane to the free surface. Again, this is the free surface. This is the basal surface. For the stratified epithelium, more than one layer of cells. The basal layer is attaches to the deepest layer to the basement membrane. Okay, so usually nakikita to sa skin. For the pseudostratified columnar epithelium, it is a special type of simple epithelium. It's falsely stratified, kaya siya tinatawag na pseudo-stratified. Diba? Pseudo means false. Okay, so falsely stratified due to variations in the shape of the cells. It consists of one layer of cells with all the cells attached to the basement membrane. So yung nagpapa-pseudo-stratify sa kanya dito is the location of the nucleus, which is located isa nasa baba, isa nasa taas, diba? Compared sa isang columnar epithelium talaga na makikita sa intestines, lahat ng nucleus nyo nasa baba. Okay, so this particular type of pseudostratified columnar epithelium, actually makikita nyo dyan, meron siyang cilia. Okay, so ito unique to sa saan? Sa respiratory system. Okay, respiratory system to nakikita. Okay, so ito yung schematic diagram of our tissue classification, specifically in your epithelial tissue. Okay, so we have your squamous, cuboidal, columnar, and pseudostratified for your simple epithelium. And then for your stratified, you have stratified squamous, stratified columnar, and your transitional. Okay. So when you say squamous, it's flat-like or scale-like. Okay? Flat-like or scale-like. And then kapag sinabi mo cuboidal, it is cube shape. So when you say cube shape, they are as wide as they are tall. So parang square. And then kapag columnar naman, they are taller than they are wide. So para siyang rectangle. Okay, so these are the three types of epithelium based on the ideal shapes of your cells. So for the simple squamous epithelium, it's made up only of a single layer of thin, flat cells. So some substances here can easily pass through this thin layer, but other substances do not. Of course, still remember that meron pa rin tayong plasma membrane that is selectively permeable, di ba? Sometimes it will allow, sometimes it will not allow, depending on on the composition of the molecule. But basically, kapag simple squamous yan, madali lang yung passage or the exchange of substances. So, for example, here is in your lungs, so allows for gas exchange. And then for the kidneys in the Bowman's capsule, so it helps filter waste from the blood while keeping the blood cells inside the blood vessels. Okay. So nasan po dito yung yung simple squamous. Ayan, nandito po ang simple squamous epithelium. I don't know if nakikita niyo yung cursor, no? Ayan po yung simple squamous epithelium natin. Okay, so again, simple squamous epithelium from your kidney. So just refer to your book for additional um, description regarding each type of tissue. Okay. For your simple cuboidal, it's made up of a single layer of cube-like cells that carry out active transport. Okay, active transport can also be facilitated diffusion as well as secretion. So they have greater secretory capacity than simple squamous epithelial cells, mainly because of mas mataba sila. Okay, mainly because of their shape compared to your simple squamous. Okay. So, nakikita nyo naman to sa kidneys pa rin, but particularly in your kidney tubules. Because during the formation of your urine, ayun nga, if na-filter out na sila sa Bowman's capsule, pupunta ngayon sila sa tubules for reabsorption or secretion. Okay? Ano yung mga sinesecrete pa doon? Mga sodium, mga different substances that will constitute your urine. So sometimes nagre-reabsorb din siya ng water depending on the body's need kung kailangan pa ba niya ng tubig or hindi. So kapag hindi na, tatapon mo na siya as urine. So again, a better picture coming from your book, simple cuboidal epithelium. Coming from your kidney tubules. Now for the simple columnar epithelium, they are described as single layer of tall, thin cells. They perform complex functions such as secretion. So they can be particularly found in your small intestines in which they produce now, as well as secrete mucus and digestive enzymes. Ayan. So in your small intestines, kung makikita nyo dito, doon sa taas niya, doon sa free surface niya, meron tayong tinatawag na microvilli. Okay? So the microvilli in your simple columnar epithelium will now increase the surface area of your cells, allowing now for better absorption of nutrients. So ayan yung simple columnar epithelium natin. So simple columnar epithelium is usually found in your digestive tract. So start ka from the upper two-thirds of your esophagus dito sa bandang to kasi the upper one-third still made up of stratified squamous. But sa two-thirds from your esophagus and then up to the up to the up to the internal part of your anus. Okay, so simple columnar epithelium po yan. A simple columnar epithelium. Pero yung anus na kasi natin, at the same time, the upper one-third as well as the mouth of your digestive system, stratified squamous na yan. Specifically the non-keratinized type. Okay, so another type of epithelium is your pseudostratified columnar. So this one is unique to your respiratory tract. Okay, so as you can see here, meron siyang cilia naman. Okay, meron siyang cilia. So this type of tissue, it secretes mucus with its it secretes mucus which covers its free surface. Okay, so the cilia that can be found here moves the mucus and accumulated debris toward the throat where it is swallowed or kapag during nagka-coughing reflex tayo. That's why remember nung tinuturuan ko kayo about the cell parts, kapag cilia, it's for active motion of the cell, okay? Kaya siya nakakatulong mag-propel ng ayaw mong ma-inhale o kayo malanghap. So, part siya ng coughing reflex mo. Okay, so how to you properly name this? So, you should write here, ciliated, pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Okay? Kung gusto mong mas specific pa, ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium with goblet cells. Okay, kung makakakita ka man ng goblet cells here. The goblet cells are the cells that are producing now your mucus. So this one, again, pseudostratified columnar epithelium, nakikita niyo siya sa respiratory tract. Now let's go to the stratified, okay? So your stratified squamous epithelium, dalawang klase po yan. So you have the keratinized type and the non-keratinized type. Rule of thumb, kapag sa skin, keratinized po yan, di ba? Sa skin lang naman nakakita ng keratin. But then, for your mucous membranes, vagina, the mouth, your anus, yan. So non-keratinized po yan. So think of it like the skin is very dry and then of course your mucous membranes are moist. That's why wala silang keratin. So your stratified squamous epithelium forms a thick epithelium because it consists now of several layers of cells. So the deepest cells are cuboid, although the deepest cells are cuboidal or columnar and are capable of dividing and producing new cells, the naming is still based on the shape of the surface cells. So kung yung mga nasa uh, 1/3 kasi or more than half of the stratified squamous kasi dito ay squamous. Okay, so yung mga nasa baba, they are mainly cuboidal or columnar, pero yung mga nasa taas kasi are squamous. So kung ano yung majority na composition ng stratified mo, yun pa rin ang masusunod. So this is still classified as stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, so there are two types of your stratified squamous epithelium. It's your keratinized and your non-keratinized. So the outer layer of your skin is comprised of keratinized, wherein the function of this one is to reduce now the water loss from the body. For your mouth and your vagina, it's non-keratinized. So the non-keratinized squamous epithelium naman, it provides protection against abrasion and acts like a mechanical barrier. So water, however, can move across it and readily than the skin. So kaya mapapansin nyo, yung mouth is moist. Okay, so since wala siyang keratin, yung water easily nawawala through the non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. So this one, ayan, picture of your stratified squamous epithelium in your it can be found in your skin, cornea, mouth, and your esophagus, the upper layer of your esophagus. Okay, so stratified cuboidal. So stratified cuboidal is made up of more than one layer of cuboidal epithelial cells, mainly in absorption, secretion, and protection. So it's relatively rare. It's usually found in your sweat glands, your ovarian follicles, and salivary glands. Okay, so usually mga glands natin, it's made up of stratified cuboidal cells. For your stratified columnar naman, for stratified columnar, it's made up of more than one layer of epithelial cells, and then the surface cells are columnar, but the deeper cells are irregular or cuboidal in shape. Okay, so like stratified cuboidal epithelium, these are relatively rare and may only be found in your mammary glands, saan pa, sa larynx, portion of the male urethra. Okay, so as you can see on the picture na naka-exemplify dyan sa slide. Okay, so this epithelium carries out secretion, protection, and absorption. And your transitional epithelium. So for this type of tissue, It's a special type of stratified epithelium that can be greatly stretched. Okay, the shape of the cells change as the epithelium is stretched to accommodate now the volume of urine. Okay, so usually nakikita sa urinary bladder, specifically sa urinary bladder. Okay, so transitional epithelium lines cavities that can greatly expand. Okay, so it also protects underlying structures from the caustic effects of your urine. So, di ba, yung urine naman natin kasi nagvary ng pH. It can either be acidic sometimes, it can be alkaline at times. So, the arrangement of the cells provides now a particular type of protection doon sa underlying connective tissue on the caustic effects of urine. So this is your transitional epithelium. So as you can see here, kapag walang laman yung ihi mo, ayan, para siyang pangit, di ba? Para siyang maraming layers. Pero kung may laman na yung urinary bladder mo, nag-flatten out siya. Okay, so parang umaayos siya, kumbaga. Umaayos siya. Nakikita mo yung pagka-stratified niya talaga. Okay, so let's go to ayan, the two types of your pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So it can either be, again, as I've said, ciliated or non-ciliated. So for your pseudostratified columnar epithelium kasi, um, the non-ciliated type can be found in your epididymis and vas deferens of the male reproductive tract, okay? It can also be found in the epithelium of your male urethra. However, the ciliated type, as I've said kanina, nakikita nyo lang siya sa um, respiratory tract, particularly the upper respiratory tract, okay? Mm, this one naman, ayan. Ayan. So now let's talk about your cell surfaces, okay? So as I've said, kapag epithelial tissue yan, di ba, it's the arrangement of cells kasi ang particular tayo dyan. So meron tayong tinatawag na free surface or the apical surface, and then yung naka-attach sa basement membrane mo, this is your basement membrane, okay? This is your basal surface, and then yung side, that is your lateral surface. Okay, so the free surface is not in contact with other cells and faces away from the underlying tissue. Okay, so sometimes it faces inside a lumen. So kumbaga sa isang lumen or for example, ito yung small intestine mo, nandito sila. Okay, so saan sila nakaharap? Sa butas. Okay, so sa lumen or sa butas. Okay, so sometimes kasi yung free surface natin or the apical surface, it reflects its functions. Okay, so kung saan siya nakaharap, yun yung magiging function niya. Like for example, kung nakaharap siya sa wala, for example sa skin, ang function niya ay for protection. Pero kung nakaharap siya sa isang lumen gaya sa small intestine, ibig sabihin it will act for secretion and absorption. Yan. Okay? So one thing to take note is that in your cell surfaces, you can have a lining ng microvilli or cilia. Okay, so it can either be ciliated again or with microvilli. So again, para saan ang microvilli? To increase the surface area, whereas your cilia, it will help with your propulsion of substances like mucus or foreign body. Okay, so characteristics of reserve, ayan, sabi ko na pala yan kanina. So, of course, since nakikita mo ang epithelial tissues mo na maraming cells, di ba? Of course, there needs to be a particular type of connection for these cells to interact with one another. Okay, so these structures do three things. Okay, so we have so these cell connections will mechanically bind the cells together form a permeability barrier and provide a mechanism for intercellular communication. Okay, so as you can see here, dito sa picture na to, one type of cell connection is your desmosomes and your hemidesmosomes. Your desmosomes are mechanical links that bind cells together. Kumbaga, isa siyang glue. Okay, isa siyang glue. Okay, that will make the two cells copy to one another. And then for the hemidesmosome, from the name itself, hemi means half. So instead na cell, yung ina-attach niya, it attaches the cell to the basement membrane. Okay? So again, desmosome, cell to cell. Kapag hemidesmosome, it attaches the cell to your basement membrane. Okay? And then we also have another type of cell connection. You have your tight junction. Your tight junction naman, they prevent the passage of materials between epithelial cells because they are completely surrounding each cell. So kumbaga, ito na yung kung yung desmosome mo ay glue, itong tight junction mo is a super glue. Okay, so usually nakikita tong tight junctions on the apical surface of your cells. So ito yung reason bakit kapag kinalabit ko kayo, hindi nagdi-disintegrate yung kamay ninyo or yung cells ninyo. Okay, kaya naka-compact with one another siya. That's because of your tight junction. Okay, so parang belt kumbaga, para kang naka-belt, siya yung belt doon sa waist mo. Okay? So, ayan, so tight junctions are found in the lining of your intestines. So gap junctions naman, so your gap junctions are small channels that allow molecules and ions to pass from one epithelial cell to the adjacent one. So most epithelial cells are connected by gap junctions, and uh, this is the channel that will allow one cell to interact with its neighboring cell. Bakit to mahalaga? Okay, so you have here your gap junction, you have the connexons and then the connexins. These are just the subunits making up your gap junction. Okay, this one is important because, for example, doon sa heart, the contraction of the heart is an all or none response. Okay, so kung yung isang cell or yung isang cardiac muscle mo nag-contract, ibig sabihin, dapat lahat ng cardiac muscle cells mo magko-contract, okay? And that can be achieved through your gap junctions. Kasi yung isang cell, magre-release siya ng mga substances that will pass through the gap junctions, allowing now the neighboring cell to receive that particular instruction para mag-contract din siya. Okay? So again, ano yung importance ng gap junctions? It allows intercellular communication. Okay, and a good example of this one is the contraction of the heart, because contraction of the heart is an all or none response. Okay, so nag-contract yung isa, dapat mag-contract lahat ng cells. Okay, so those are your different types of connections. So desmosomes attaches to cells. Your tight junctions, it tightly connects the cells to one another. And then for your gap junctions, allows intercellular communication. And then for your hemidesmosomes, attaches now the cell to the basement membrane. Now let's talk about glands. So your glands, your secretory glands, or secretory organs rather, are the ones that will secrete substances into a surface or into a cavity or into the bloodstream itself. Okay? So kapag yung something ay kung yung gland mo ay nagse-secrete, um, kung yung gland mo ay nagse-secrete sa isang surface or sa isang cavity, that's your exocrine. Pero kung yung glands mo ay nagse-secrete sa blood mo, that's your endocrine. Okay? So again, kung yung glands nag-secrete sa blood, that's your endocrine. Pero kung yung gland mo ay nag-secrete sa isang surface or sa isang cavity, that's your exocrine. Okay? So basically, itong exocrine glands mo, these are the glands that have ducts. Okay, ducts, ibig sabihin, daluyan. Ducts. Okay, daluyan. Okay? But regardless, si endocrine and exocrine, they are still lined with epithelium. Okay? Si endocrine naman, kung si exocrine meron kang ducts or daluyan, dito si endocrine wala siyang ducts. Okay? So these are your ductless glands. Okay? Because they will secrete their products, particularly hormones ang sinesecrete ng endocrine mo into the bloodstream itself. Again, so exocrine, it's multicellular, comprised of many cells. It's composed of single cell, goblet, like goblet cells that secrete mucus. So we can have simple and compound. Okay, so ito ang itsura ng exocrine mo na simple and compound. So paano yung itsura niya? Simple, isang tubo lang. Kapag compound, maraming branches. Okay? So your simple glands have a single non-branched, okay? Non-branched. Kapag compound naman, have multiple branch ducts. Okay, so for this one, later na yun. Ayan. So for the compound glands kasi have sige, dito muna sa algorithm na to, okay? So the glands with secretory regions shaped as tubules or tubular, okay? They can be called as tubular. According to the shape, they can be straight or coiled, okay? So kapag sack-like naman sila, para silang sack or medyas, ganun, acinar. Medyas ng bata ha, yung pag ganito. Okay. And then kapag mixture ng acinar and tubular, it's what you call your tubulo-acinar. Okay? Pwede rin namang your acinar is also termed as alveolar, okay? So gaya nung shape ng alveoli mo na pabilog ng parang ganito, so pwede rin mo siyang tawagin as alveolar. So again, your glands or your compound glands can be classified as either tubular. So the tubular compound gland can be straight or coiled. It can either be acinar or sac-like, and then it can also be a combination of the two, which is your tubulo-acinar or tubulo-alveolar. Again, this is a picture of your simple and compound glands. And ito yung mas daming example niya, okay? So simple glands, simple tubular, simple branch tubular, simple coiled tubular, simple acinar, and simple branch acinar. Ayan, kapag compound naman, madami siyang branches. Mas madami siyang branches that will also have branches. Okay? Kasi yung simple natin, it can also have branches. Pero yun nga lang, tig isa lang. Okay? So one branch lang. Ito, tatlo. Tatluhan. Okay. So in your glands, particularly in your exocrine glands, di ba, yung exocrine glands natin, saan siya nagre-release ng substances? Sa surfaces or sa surfaces, di ba? Surfaces, hindi sa bloodstream or in sa cavities, di ba? So your exocrine glands can be classified as to how the products will leave the gland. Okay? So kapag sinabi mong merocrine gland, merocrine, the substances will leave via exocytosis. Okay? So remember yung tinuro ko noon about exocytosis, di ba? It's the movement of substances outside the cell by means of the vesicles merging with your plasma membrane and then releasing the substances. Okay, so merocrine, palatandaan nyo daw dyan, ENO, meron ding ENO yung exocytosis. Kapag apocrine naman, si apocrine glands secrete products as a pinch of fragment from the gland cells. Okay, so para kang, ayan, sabi dito, kinurot or pinched off yung apo. Kinurot daw yung apo, kaya apocrine gland. Para kang ano na to? So kung compared kay merocrine kasi, na exocrine type siya, walang nalulos doon sa cell. Okay? Walang nalulos doon sa cell. Ito naman, kay apocrine, kinukurot mo yung cell kaya natatapyasan siya. Okay? So tinatapyasan mo yung cell. So ganun yung mechanism of secretion ng isang apocrine gland. In your holocrine gland, kaya siya tinawag na holocrine kasi whole. The whole cell disintegrates. Okay? The whole cell disintegrates. Okay? It involves the shedding of your whole, the entire cell. Ganun yung mechanism of secretion niya. Okay, so again, merocrine, hindi damage si cell kasi nga exocytosis lang. Apocrine, natatapyasan yung cell kasi kinukurot mo. And then holocrine glands, ang buong cell nagdi-disintegrate. Okay, so ayan. So again, this is an example or picture of your exocrine glands and their secretion types. Okay, so that's it for your epithelial tissue. No? So let's go to your connective tissues. So your connective tissues, they these are diverse primary tissue type that makes a part of every organ in the body. So this connective tissues differs now from the other tissue types, your epithelial, muscular, and nervous, in that it consists of cells separated from each another. Okay, so as compared kay epithelium and muscle and nervous na magkakalapit yung cells, ito, yung mga cells niya dispersed. Okay, and they have an abundant extracellular matrix. Okay, so ano yung composition ng isang connective tissue? It's comprised of cells, the protein fibers or the fibers, and the extracellular matrix. Okay, so yun lagi yung components niya. So functions, it encloses and separate other tissues. It connects tissues to one another, supports the moving parts of the body, stores compounds, specifically the bone, di ba? Also sa adipose tissue, cautioning and insulating, transporting kaya sa blood, and then protecting. So we have different types of cells in your connective tissues. So the name of the cell identifies the cell functions. So your osteoblast, it forms bones. Your osteocytes naman, the mature version of your osteoblast, will maintain it. And then the osteoclasts naman will break down. Okay? Yung osteoclasts mo para siyang macrophages that will now try to eat those bone minerals for you to have bone resorption to provide the body with the needed calcium. Okay? Fibroblasts, these are cells that form fibrous connective tissue, and then the fibrocytes naman will maintain it. Okay, so ano yung mga nagpo-produce ng mga fibers? It's your fibroblasts. Okay, ito yung active cells. Your chondroblasts naman, pang cartilage po siya. Okay, so the chondrocytes naman will maintain it. Okay, so the macrophages are large cells that are capable of moving about and ingesting foreign substances. So including here your microorganisms in your connective tissue. So depending on the parts of the body, a particular macrophage will have its particular name. Okay? For example, the macrophage that is seen in your skin is called your Langerhans cell. Kapag sa liver naman, your Kupffer cell. Kapag nasa utak, it's your microglial cell. Diba? Kapag nasa ayan, so more on that na lang no kapag pumunta tayo sa particular or baka madaanan natin dito mamaya. At I think that's a topic that is reserved kapag nasa specific na tayo. Specific organ system na tayo. And then for your mast cells, these are non-motile cells that will release chemicals such as your histamine that will promote now your inflammation. So ito yung mga nagre-release ng histamine mo kapag ina-allergy ka. That's why nga kapag na-allergy ka, di ba, hirap kang huminga because of vasodilation, and then meron kang makikitang mga rashes, wheals, ganon sa kamay mo. And that's because of the action of your histamine. Kaya kayo nagtitik ng antihistamine to counteract the effects of your histamine na na-produce ni mast cell. So basically, mast cell is a cell that is triggered by your allergies. So for your extracellular matrix, uh, it has three components, okay? Your protein fibers, your ground substance, and the fluid. Okay, so the ground substance consists of non-fibrous proteins and other molecules. And then the structure of the matrix is responsible for the functional characteristic of the connective tissue. Like for example, they enable bones and cartilage to bear weight. Ganun. Okay, so there are three types of fibers. You have your collagen, reticular, and your elastic. Okay, so they help for most connective tissues. So your collagen fibers resemble microscopic ropes. They are very flexible but resist stretching. Okay, so they resist stretching. Kumbaga nandyan lang sila for structural support. Kumbaga, so kapag normally nagfa-function yung katawan ng tao, yun lang siya, okay? For example, like smile ka, na when you move your body, so andyan siya. It's the one that's responsible for the tightness of the movement or the fine tuning of the movement para hindi ka mukhang saggy, gano'n. And reticular fibers are very fine, short collagen fibers that branch to form a supporting network. So usually nakikita to sa spleen. Okay, mga reticular endothelial system organs natin, spleen, lymph nodes, yun. And then for your elastic fibers, these fibers have the ability to return to its original shape after being stretched or compressed, giving tissue an elastic quality. Okay, so hindi gaya ni collagen fiber na na hindi nakaka-resist ng stretch. Sa elastic fiber, it can resist stretching. So gaya ng nasa sa ears ninyo, ganun. So the ground substance consists of a non-fibrous molecule and is shapeless. So it consists of proteoglycans, which are large molecules that consist of a protein core attached to many long polysaccharides. Kaya siya tinawag na proteoglycans. Proteo, protein. Glycans means sugar. Di ba? Glycans, glucose, sugar. So it's a combination of protein and sugars. Pinagsama mo yan, meron kang proteoglycan. Okay, so proteoglycans trap large quantities of water between polysaccharides, which allows them to return to their original shape when compressed or deformed. So itong proteoglycans na to, since meron siyang water, it will also, 'di ba yung water sometimes kapag nilalagay siya sa mga 'di ba, mga since may repulsive nature ang water, kaya niyang maka-resist ng compression. Okay? Kaya niyang maka-resist ng compression, and that's the main purpose of your proteoglycans. So by 8 weeks of development, most of the embryonic connective tissue has become specialized to form the different types of connective tissue seen in your adults. Okay, so the two main types of connective tissues, you have your embryonic and adult. So the embryo, after 8 weeks, magiging adult na yan. So the types of connective tissue, particularly, punta na tayo kay loose connective tissue. Okay, so for your loose connective tissue, it is composed of few protein fibers that form a lacy network with numerous spaces filled with ground substance and fluid. So the three types of your loose connective are your areolar, adipose, and reticular. Okay, so for your areolar, it primarily consists of collagen fibers and a few elastic fibers. And then for the adipose, mostly fat cells yan. And then for the reticular, it forms a framework. Yun lang yung keyword doon, framework. And then the most common cells that can be found in your loose connective tissue are your fibroblasts. Ayan. Ay, nasabi ko na pala. So the adipose, large amounts of lipid for energy usage. It also acts to protect the parts of the body and for thermal insulation. So reticular naman, it can be found in your spleen, lymph nodes, as well as bone marrow and liver. Lahat ng mga madudugong organs or the organs that has an that has a ambag sa sa hematopoiesis natin or sa blood forming capability ng body natin. And so this is a picture of your areolar connective tissue. So this is seen in your skin. So it attaches skin to the underlying tissues. Adipose sa breast. Ayan, yung tsura niya. Yung nucleus niya is pushed to the side because of yung large amount of fats. Okay? And then the next type of tissue is your dense connective tissue. Your dense connective tissue is relatively large number of protein fibers, which is thick bundles. It fills nearly all the extracellular spaces, and the extracellular matrix is mainly made up of collagen fibers. So two major subcategories are collagenous and elastic. So for your dense connective tissue, it can either be regular or dense irregular. Okay, so kapag sinabi mong dense regular, the collagen fibers are oriented in one direction. Okay, same direction lang. So kapag nag-apply ka ng force, isang direction lang yung kaya niyang i-resist. Okay, so one example of this one is your tendons and ligaments. Tendons, it attaches now your muscle to bone. Okay, and then for your ligaments naman, it attaches your bone to bone. Okay, so for the dense irregular naman, pangit siya. Okay, kung tinitignan mo yung itsura niya, pangit siya. Walang particular direction yung movement ng collagen fibers mo. Instead, it's oriented in multiple directions. So given that information, it can resist stretching in multiple directions. Okay? So pwedeng pataas, pababa, side to side pwede. Kasi nga, may collagen fibers that is oriented towards those directions. Okay, so example of this one, you can spawn in your dermis of the skin. Kaya kapag kinurot mong ganyan, di ba? It can resist that type of mechanical stretch. So ayan, sa dermis of the skin and in organ capsules. So again, dense regular. Ayan. So the dense elastic connective tissue naman. Dense elastic connective tissues, abundant elastic fibers. It has an abundant elastic fiber among its collagen fibers. So function nila is to stretch and recoil. So one example of this one is in your vocal cords. So pathophysio correlate tayo. There is a genetic condition called your Marfan syndrome, which results from the inability to properly maintain and form elastic fibers. So in your Marfan, so we have this array of diseases: mitral valve prolapse, aortic dissection, retinal detachment. All of this is attributed to the defective elastic fibers natin. Okay. Pag sinabi mo kasing ito, 'di ba, yung elastic, yung parang yung sa elastiko, 'di ba? Kapag ini-stretch mo siya, bumabalik. In Marfan syndrome kasi, kapag ini-stretch mo yung isang tissue, it is not as good as bringing it back to its original shape. Okay? So it will take some time. Kaya usually itong mga to, ito yung mga very, very stretchable na mga tao, yung mga nababaliko nila yung mga katawan nila, ganun. Because they lack that recoil capability. Kaya na-stretch nila ng malala yung katawan nila. But that's very dangerous. Bakit? Tignan ninyo. aortic dissection. Kapag nag-stretch yung aorta nila, tas pag hindi yan bumalik, pag hindi nag-recoil, pwede yang sumabog. Okay? So kapag nag-rupture yung aorta nila, wala na. Aorta, mag-aortic aneurysm, tatagas yung dugo sa buong katawan nila. Siyempre, that's deadly. May mitral valve prolapse, yung mitral valve daw nila doon sa heart. So, nagpo-prolapse since very elastic siya and then hindi niya kayang mag-recoil pabalik. Ibig sabihin, yung flow of blood is not regulated doon sa heart. So, nagkakaroon ng overload yung heart. Ano. Ayan. Kung madami pang constellation of diseases that can be seen in your Marfan. So this, again, this is your dense, regular, elastic connective tissue. You can see this one in your vocal cord. Look at your cartilage. It's composed of your chondrocytes located in spaces called lacunae within an extensive matrix. So the collagen in the matrix gives the cartilage flexibility and strength. And the cartilage is resilient because the proteoglycans of the matrix trap water. The cartilage provides support, but if bent or slightly compressed, it resumes its original shape. So three types of cartilage. We have here your hyaline, fibro, and elastic cartilage. Now, for your hyaline cartilage, it's the most abundant type and has many functions. So number one here is to cover the ends of your bones as joints. Okay. Next one is your fibrocartilage. So for your fibrocartilage, it has more collagen than does hyaline cartilage and is able to withstand compression and resist tearing and pulling. Okay, so you can see this one in your intervertebral discs, pwede rin sa knee, also in your temporomandibular joint. And then for your elastic cartilage naman, it contains elastic fibers in addition to collagen and proteoglycans. So the elastic fibers appear to coil among the bundles of your collagen fibers. And with that information, we can deduce that the elastic cartilage is able to recoil to its original shape when bent. Okay, and then the external ear, epiglottis, and the auditory tube. These are good examples of organs that contains now your elastic cartilage. Again, this is your hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage. So as you can see here, anong sabi natin kay fibrocartilage? More collagen than does hyaline cartilage. So kung makikita niyo, very, very abundant siya ng color blue. And that color blue there is your collagen matrix. Okay? For your bone naman, it's a hard connective tissue that consists of living cells and a mineralized matrix. So osteocytes are located within the lacunae, and then the strength and rigidity of the mineralized matrix enables bone to support and protect the other tissues and organs. So two types of bones, you have your spongy and compact. So for your spongy bone, it has spaces between the trabecular plate, dito, and therefore resembles a sponge. Okay? And then for your compact bone naman, more solid with almost no space between many thin layers of mineralized matrix. So cross-section of your bone, you can see here, your compact bone. Ito yung central canal. Ito yung mga lacunae mo. And then it is the matrix organized into lamellae. Next one is you have your blood. Okay, so this is a specialized connective tissue that is made up of a liquid matrix termed plasma, along with its four elements: your erythrocytes or red blood cells, your leukocytes or white blood cells, and then your platelets. And then your platelets are also termed as thrombocytes. Okay, thrombocytes. So ang function ng blood mo, they transport food, oxygen, waste, hormones, and other substances. So again, this is a picture of your blood with its formed elements. So makikita mo yung mga red blood cells mo, meron siyang central pallor, For muscle naman, your muscle, they contract or shorten, making movement possible. So the muscle contraction results from contractile proteins located within the muscle cell. And you have three types of muscle cells. Okay, you have the skeletal for structural support, cardiac for your heart muscles, and then smooth muscles for your internal organs. Okay, so skeletal muscles attaches the skeleton and enables the body to move. It can either be striated or banded, and then arrangement of contractile proteins within the cells. So example of your skeletal muscles, striated siya, ibig sabihin meron siyang mga stripes, okay? Para siyang stripes. And these are, so we will go to this one in detail kapag nasa muscular system na tayo, okay? So ma-understand nyo bakit meron siyang striations, and that is because of your actin and filament. Actins and myosin filaments, okay? And then the nucleus is located on the periphery. Your cardiac muscle, it's the muscle of the heart. It's responsible for pumping your blood. It's cylindrical, but is much shorter than a skeletal muscle. It's also striated, but only have one nucleus per cell. And it is branched, and it is connected to one another by your intercalated discs. Okay, so this one is your muscle cell, cardiac muscle cell. Okay, so branched siya, and then it can also have striations. And in addition to striations, you have your intercalated disc. And your intercalated discs are mainly your gap junctions para makapag-communicate yung one type of muscle, yung one muscle cell to one another for contraction. And then for your smooth muscle, these are muscles that will be found in the walls of your hollow organs. So it's found in the skin and in the eyes. It functions with the movement of food through the digestive tract and emptying the urinary bladder. So tapered at the end and have a single nucleus, and they are not striated. Okay. So again, type of this type of muscle is not striated. Ayan. So, para lang siyang fiber actually, yung tsura niya. So, sometimes kapag sa practicals, you can mistaken this as a fiber. Baka pag masabi niyo pang dense regular connective tissue to. Okay, so just be careful. Okay, just be careful kasi one thing to take note there is the nucleus. Kasi itong nucleus na to, it can be found one per muscle cell. Okay? And then lastly, the last type of among the muscles pala, sige, tama na lang tayo. Sa nervous na lang. So for the nervous tissue, so the last type of your tissue type, okay? So for this one, it forms the brain, spinal cord, and the nerves. So it functions in the coordination and control of many activities. And the neurons and supporting cells are termed as glial cells. And then the neuron is responsible for conducting action potentials. Okay, so it has three parts. You have the cell body, and then the axon, which is the parang paa doon sa dulo, and then the dendrites, which is yung parang buhok naman niya. Okay? And then you have I'm so sorry. The axon is the part of the neuron that is ito, yung parang buntot, and then doon sa dulo para siyang may paa. That's your axon terminals, okay? So the cell body is the cell na merong nucleus, ayan yan yung cell body mo. And the dendrites are yung parang yung buhok, branches na parang yung buhok. Okay. Again, the picture of your dendrites, cell body, and then This is your axon. I'm not sure kung makikita niyo yung, ano ko, yung cursor ko. So more on this kapag na-reach natin ang nervous system. So the tissue membranes, these are thin sheet or layer of tissue that covers a structure or lights a cavity. So the four tissue membranes are your cutaneous, mucous, serous, and synovial. The skin is termed cutaneous membrane um, because it's in the external body surface membrane. Okay? So mucous membranes lines your cavities that open to the outside of the body, such as your digestive, respiratory, and reproductive tracts. Many, but not all, mucous membranes secrete mucus. Okay, so guys, sa respiratory tract, may mucus siya. Sa digestive tract, yung mucus ay for digestion. Okay, so function of the mucous membranes for protection, absorption, and secretion. So basically yan, yung bunganga mo, mucous membrane yan. Yung conjunctiva mo, mucous membrane yan. Yung puwet, yung sa anus mo, mucous membrane yung mga yan. Yung nose mo, okay? Pagkalagpas mo dyan sa may bone dyan sa nose mo, mucous membrane na yan. So lahat ng yan pwedeng pasukan ng, madaling pasukan ng foreign substances or microorganisms. So your serous membranes naman line cavities that do not open to the exterior of the body, such as your pericardial, pleural, and peritoneal cavities. So three components, a layer of simple squamous epithelium, basement membrane, and the layer of loose connective tissue underneath. Okay, so they do not contain glands, but they will secrete a small amount of fluid termed as your serous fluid, which will lubricate the surface of the membrane. Okay, so di ba ito yung sinasabi ko noon na di ba meron kang visceral peritoneum and then the parietal peritoneum. Those are your serous membrane. Okay, so in between meron kang cavity yun. Yung cavity na yun yung may fluid. Okay, yun yung may fluid, and then that fluid will now lubricate the organ. Okay, for example, the heart, meron kang pericardial fluid dyan para ma-aid yung or ma-lessen yung friction ng pag-contract ng heart mo. But kapag nag-exceed yung pericardial fluid mo, mahirapan ka rin namang mag-contract. Synovial membranes naman, this one lines the cavities of your really movable joints. Okay, so they are made up of only connective tissue and consist of modified connective tissue. So the synovial membranes produce your synovial fluid. So the joint is very slippery, thereby it will reduce no friction and allow smooth movements within the joint. So usually kapag tumatanda kayo, nalilesen yung synovial fluid, and that's what you call na yung osteoarthritis. Okay, so wear and tear siya. Sometimes din naman, pwede siyang mas mapasukan ng microorganisms, yun yung tinatawag mong septic arthritis. Okay, kapag marami ka na bang in-ingest na purines, gano'n, tataas yung uric acid mo, yun yung tinatawag mong gouty arthritis. So, madaming types of arthritis, pero ang pathophysiology nila, it all boils down to the involvement of the synovium, particularly the synovial fluid. Okay? So isa to sa mga trabaho din ninyo in the future, which is synovial fluid analysis. And then for your internal membranes, ayan siya. And then last topic natin is inflammation. I don't know bakit siya nagpabilang dito, no? Pero supposedly nasa immunology part to. But basically, or sa skin. But basically, when you say inflammation, it's usually a beneficial process when tissues are damaged. So when viruses infect epithelial cells of the upper respiratory tract, inflammation and symptoms of colds, common cold are produced. And then the inflammatory process, of course, in stages. So an inflammation is different from infection. Inflammation is a process wherein the body is fighting off a trigger. Doon sa infection kasi, ang trigger natin is microorganism. Sa inflammation, it can be various, okay? It's not specific, kumbaga. But basically, for example, this one, common cold daw. So, yung common cold mo, ini-infect niya yung mga respiratory tract cells mo. So, habang nasisira sila, may inflammatory process na nangyayari. Okay? So, in inflammation, it mobilizes the body's defenses and isolates and destroys microorganisms. Para siyang umbrella term, kumbaga. Mas specific lang sa infection. But basically, inflammation have 5 major symptoms: redness, heat, swelling, pain, and disturbance of function. Redness is color. Heat is heat is and the redness is rubor. Heat is color. Swelling is tumor. Pain is dolor. And then disturbance of function is puncto lesa. Okay, so yun yung Latin counterpart nila. So ito, for example, na-inflame yung kamay mo, namamaga siya, di ba? So may redness. Kapag hinawakan mo, medyo mainit, namamaga, nagsiswell or nag-edema, meron ding sakit, di ba? Masakit din, so pain. And then, magagalaw mo ba? Hindi. And that's the loss of function, di ba? So yun yung 5 cardinal signs of inflammation natin. Okay? And then for the inflammatory process, there's what you call the tissue repair. Okay, so kapag na-inflame ka, part of the resolution is repair. So there will be substitution of dead cells for viable cells. Tissue repair can only occur by regeneration or by fibrosis. So in regeneration, new cells are the same type. So kung ano yung namatay, yun yung magre-regenerate na cell type. Sa fibrosis naman or replacement, a new cell type is developed. So kapag new cell type yan, of course, hindi na niya kamukha yung dati or yung mga katabi niya. So that's the time that you produce now scar, okay, scar production. And to some extent, loss of tissue function. Usually, di ba, sa skin mo, stratified squamous yan. Pero kapag na-inflame or nasugat ka, and then nag-scar, yung scar na yon hindi na yung stratified squamous. Mostly, connective tissue na yon, mainly made up of collagen. Okay, so hindi na yung stratified squamous. Kaya siya very obvious. Okay, kaya siya very obvious na nagsa-scarring. Okay, so regeneration can completely repair some tissues such as the skin and mucous membrane of the intestine. So in these cases, regeneration is accomplished primarily by stem cells. Stem cells are self-renewing, undifferentiated cells that continue to divide throughout life. And tissue repair occurs in sequential steps. So this is the sequential steps of your tissue repair. So firstly, the fresh wound cuts through the epithelium or the epidermis and the underlying connective tissue and the clot will form. Okay, so yan yung main nagagawin kasi ng dugo mo. Papalabasin niya si platelet para tulungan niyang lagyan ng ano ng sara, kumbaga sasarahan niya yung open wound. Okay, and then after that, approximately 1 week after injury, scab will become present in the site, and then the epithelium is growing into the wound. Okay, and then parang papalitan na niya. And then ultimately, approximately 2 weeks after the injury, the epithelium has grown completely into the wound and fibroblasts have formed a granulation tissue. This is the granulation tissue. And then kapag keloid former ka or scar former ka, ganun, usually OA kasi yung pag-form mo ng granulation tissue and yun yung nakikita sa surface. Kaya meron kang peklat, ganun. Okay, so or keloid. But kung okay naman, kapag hindi ka naman keloid former, ayan, pwede ring mag-regenerate yung stratified squamous epithelium mo para magmukha siyang seamless. Okay, so approximately 1 month after the injury, the wound has completely closed and the scab has been sloughed off and the granulation tissue is being replaced by new connective tissue. So ayan. So that would be all for our discussion on tissues. It's quite lengthy, but I hope you will watch it in preparation for your prelim exam. Okay, so that would be all, and see you again next time.